Hi guys, welcome to Java Learners. Today I am going to explain about how Java is an object-oriented programming. I am going to start now. Object-oriented programming. If a program should call as an object-oriented programming due to it follows some system ins- system instructions and also some concepts. So what are all those concepts? How a programming called as a object-oriented programming? So in Java, so Java need classes or object to write a program. So while writing a Java program, Java needs compulsory. You need to start with a class. So without class, it won't accept writing the programming. So is Java purely object-oriented language? So many people say Java is not purely object-oriented program. Why? We'll discuss why. What means purely object-oriented program? What it means? Object-oriented program means. So it should not contain primitive data types like int, float, char, and also there is a different primitive data types like boolean, and right now I'm taking the three examples as int, float, and char. So everything should access by passing a message through objects. If it is a object-oriented programming, it should access everything by passing through objects only, message passing through objects. Java has a static variables and methods which can access without using object. If it is an object-oriented programming, but Java has a static variables and methods which we can call without creating the object. Sorry. Um, Java has a static variable and methods which we can access without object, without using objects. That is what static variables we can call without creating the objects in the class. So an important feature of object-oriented program is multiple inheritance is not supported by Java. So if it is an object-oriented programming, why Java didn't support the multiple inheritance? So we'll come to know what is inheritance in the next tutorials. But Java didn't support the multiple inheritance. Due to this, everyone will say that Java is not a purely object-oriented programming. But I will say that Java is a purely object-oriented programming. If any programmer or any beginner is learning the Java, they should know the APIs first. API means application programming interface. So what are those APIs? So Java has some APIs which will defines the defines the classes and everything whatever the Java program it is, whatever the concept it is, it will define if the API contains the classes, methods, and everything, interfaces and everything. So how Java is purely object oriented programming, we can say. So here it's they are saying it should not contain primitive data types like int, float, and char. But how Java consider these things as a object? I'll show in the next slide. Yes, Java is purely object-oriented programming. So in the class API, you can search in the Google class API. So there is a API called get name method. So from this you can get see what this returns. Returns the name of the entity, class, interface, array, class, primitive type or void. See here is the primitive type represented by this class object. So even though it is a primitive data type, but Java consider it as a class object as a string. You understand, right? See, if this class object represents as a reference type that is not an array type, then the binary name of the class is returned as specified by the Java trademark language specification. What this is saying, if this class object represents a reference type that is not an array type that the binary name of the class is written. So if it is a reference type that is not an array type, then the binary name of the class is written. So this is specified in Java trademark language specification. If class object represents a primitive type or byte, then the name written is a string equal to the Java language keyword corresponding to the primitive type or byte. See, if it is a primitive data type, Java introduced a wrapper classes called integer for int and cat what are integer for int and the float for float. So there is a wrapper classes. Everything it will consider and it will return the equal string Java language keyword corresponding to the primitive type or void. So we'll move to the next oops concepts. So Java supports oops. So that is why we called it as a object oriented programming. What are oops? So object oriented programming system. Oops is oops full form. So Java will support all these. A purely object oriented programming should follow these features, whatever the list mentioned in the below. See, classes and object. Yes, Java will write the classes and object. Without these things it will not work. Java will not work. Java will work through will support the encapsulation. Yes, Java will support the encapsulation. Java will support the abstraction. You can write the abstract class and you can extend it through any class. Java supports inheritance. Says Java will support the inheritance and Java will support the polymorphism. So these things, all these features we will discuss in the further tutorials. But Java will, so as of now, just I'm just explaining why is a Java object oriented program. Because of all this, Java will support these features. Because of this, Java will call as object oriented programming. See, see, Java will follow all these five features called oops object oriented programming. So that's why Java will call as a object oriented programming language. See, note, so as I said, it should support in the first slide it an important features of object oriented programming. Multiple inheritance is not supported by Java. But but in the oops concept, multiple inheritance is a not main feature. That's because of this, Java is a purely object oriented programming. It is supporting inheritance but it won't support multiple inheritance. That is why it is called a purely object oriented programming. So I forgot to say one thing. See, inheritance is the main feature here, but multiple inheritance is not a main feature. So, if it, multiple inheritance is the sub concept of the inheritance, not the main concept in the oops. So, oops concept is contains only these features. See, classes and object, encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism. So Java will support yes classes and object. Java will not accept without writing the classes. So we should write a program with the class only. Without this we cannot so Java cannot consider it as a Java program. And I forgot to mention one more thing. There is a static variables and methods. But even those static variables and methods will write inside the class, not the outside the class. So we will call the static methods and variables through class name only, not without object, not without the class name. Even though there is no object, but we will consider them as a API. Java class API will consider them as a object only. That's why. It is called as a for reducing memory utilization. Only one copy of them will be created in memory and shared by all objects. That is why we will write the static methods and static variables. Uh, Thank you for watching this tutorial. So please subscribe us at www.javalearners.in. So visit this javalearners.in to get the theory tutorials. So thank you for watching. That's it for the day. Thank you guys. Thank you.